Welcome back to the workshop.
Welcome back.
This week,
we're going to start on a multi-week epic.
We're going to be making our own underfoot pedal box.
From scratch.
Hey, that's proof you can't roll a 2CV. My name is Oliver, and this is my dad, Andrew. He's a wicked engineer and my next door neighbour. We've always wanted to build a car together. So when I found my dream car in nightmare condition, we decided to embrace it, seize the day and re-engineer the entire car from scratch.
Well, it's looking more and more like a car every single day.
And make your own gear knob kit. There you go.
A K20 A2 from a Honda.
Things don't always go to plan. But when they do, it's a thing of beauty. Building a car and making memories with my dad. One of one, this is Project Mosquito. In recent weeks, we've had lots of comments about two things. Our seating position being so reclined and our steering wheel hub. And this is the episode where it all comes together. You see, our car aesthetically is a GTM currently. And it's going to evolve into more than a GTM. Our little Mosquito will kind of blossom into something incredible. But aesthetically, we're going for a specific time period. We are going from 1969 to 1972. That's the period that we want this car aesthetically to belong to. It's a really important period in time and design history of cars. The reason why we're going for that time is because this car was penned in roughly 1966, 1967 originally. And by 1969, you probably would have wanted to do a refresh, especially if you'd have wanted to make a faster, more competitive GTM. And this will be a rolling concept. This will be a rolling rally weapon, road legal, like awesomeness in the same vein as like the Stratos concept, for example. So if we look at other concepts from that era, we have things like the Ferrari Modulo from 1970. You have the Lancia Stratos Zero prototype from 1970. You have the Mazda RX 500 from 1970. And you have, and I've lost one, the Vauxhall SVR, if we're being British, from 1970. The one thing that all those cars have in common is the seats are all basically built into the floor. They've all got an incredibly high thigh bolster and they're all incredibly reclined. In fact, the Stratos Zero is that reclined that you get in through the windscreen because it has no room for doors. Now then, that's really good news for us. This all just neatly lines up, by design of course, because this is the period we're going for. I'm a very tall man, this is a very small car, and we need to fit very tall man in very small car, and we have Elise seats, which means our seats are right for our time period. As weird as they may look, they are period correct in essence and location. And our period correct steering wheel, of course, matches that. Now then, when we get in our car, I can actually get in Mosquito incredibly easily now that we don't have to risk knocking our steering wheel mock up. In the previous episodes, we were really gingerly getting in and out because we didn't want to knock this. Now it's all in place and it's not going anywhere. So that's superb. Our next problem is in my feet. You see, there's no room for master cylinders. Normally on a car, you've got a really big diaphragm for your power assisted brakes that lives in your engine bay on the other side of the firewall, right? And you've got a single master cylinder. And this is 90% of road cars. In fact, 99.9% of road cars. Unfortunately, we have no room for anything like that. The reason for it is there's a fuel tank there. Well, there will be, right? That's why we haven't made the firewall yet. So we need to find a place to put pedals and put brakes because my feet nearly touch the firewall. In fact, I can put my feet on top of the firewall. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I can. I'll put my feet down now because they're gross. Now, so we need to fit pedals in there, but there's no room for pedals and there's no room for master cylinders. The one place that I've got plenty of room is here, in height. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to lift my feet up. We're going to place my feet on basically a box. We're going to place the master cylinders underneath my feet and put my feet against the pedals in a very natural position. So that, if you look at the, in fact there's a bunch of really good designs for the design drawings for the Lancia Stratos and cars like that. And you'll notice the driver is drawn in the car. He's reclined back in his seat with a really high bolster and he has his feet up. This is because Formula One was like the thing. Obviously 1969, 1970, it's the heyday, right? All drivers sat back in the seat with their feet up for the first time ever. Now then, we're going to do the exact same thing. And this will tell us whether we need a removable steering wheel boss or not. Because with my feet up, it gives me less room to rotate my legs to get out the car. Now fortunately, we did make our driver's seat more central than our passenger seat to help with ingress and egress, because we knew this was going to happen. It also gave us a lot more room for a helmet here. But we now need to make a pedal box that's underfoot. And the reason why we're going to make one is because buying one costs about £3 grand. And just like our shifter, the problem with buying something that someone else has made is there's going to be a compromise. We're going to have to compromise our car and spend £3 grand in order to fit in something that someone's made to fit in many, many different cars, which includes things like big adapter plates and brackets, which are very heavy and cumbersome and an extra cost on top of that. Tilton's underfoot pedal box is absolutely superb and it slides, which is great because Merriam is a lot shorter than I am. The issue we have with that is, like I say, it's £3 grand. Now, I don't want to spend £3 grand. I also don't want to fit a removable steering wheel hub because that is about 350 quid and adds half a kilo to our car. And if it's half a kilo, we don't want, like, this whole thing does not weigh half a kilo. So if I put a boss on there, I'm more than doubling the weight of this component. That's why we didn't want to go for like tilting steering columns and stuff like that. We don't want the weight. So our mission, if we choose to accept it, is to design an underfoot pedal box for, well, making an underfoot pedal box for less than £3 grand won't be difficult. Right? Unless we choose to gold plate it, it won't be difficult. But we want to make an underfoot pedal box that matches the late 1960s, early 1970s aesthetic of our car, while being custom fit to not just the car itself, but my giant feet, and be sliding, so it can slide backwards and forwards because our seating position is fixed. Right? So we have our 1970s seating position, we have our 1970s steering wheel, we have our gated supercar shifter, and now it's time for our next port of call, the pedal box. And in this episode, we're just going to make the brake pedal and the clutch pedal because there's a heck of a lot of work in them. Now then, on most cars, you've got a single brake master cylinder with a big diaphragm and power assisted brakes, which uses engine vacuum to basically increase your braking force. Your braking force is amplified by the engine's vacuum pressure. We aren't doing any of that, right? We've bought 3 master cylinders. One is for our clutch because we've got a hydraulic clutch. And then we have 2 braking master cylinders, one for the front, one for the rear, right? Your braking master cylinders are sized. This has been a very tricky thing to do. We have a 0.7 and we have a 0.625. The smaller your master cylinder, the more pressure it creates. And then we have a brake bias bar for fine tuning.
It's super important that we get these master cylinders correct, and the only way we're going to do it is actually get the car out on the road and try it out. And then we can modify, we can either make the master cylinders bigger or smaller. You've got to also think that...
Not on the road, in a controlled environment. Yes. For legal reasons, we will not be trying it on the road, we will be trying it in a controlled environment on private land.
Because in the past, even manufacturers have got it wrong. There's a car called the Lancia Beta Monte Carlo, which was a sports car, mid-engine sports car, mass production, and literally it was a death trap. Because what used to happen is the rear brakes used to lock up in the wet and basically send people off into the ditch backwards.
In the States, it was sold as the Lancia Scorpion.
Yeah, and it basically stopped production because it was so unsafe. So we want to avoid that completely. So this basically is our two pedals, our clutch pedal and our brake pedal.
They'll be slightly lighter when they go in the car.
Yeah, so it's just a billet aluminium. It's 30mm. 250mm long once we chop it. Then we've got to cut it in half. We don't have a milling machine, so these pedals are really going to be bespoke. They're going to be handmade completely.
In a very similar way to our shifter, which if you haven't seen our gated shifter video, you should really check it out because it's rather good.
Yeah, and it's worth that. The shifter is absolutely superb. I couldn't, if I'd have planned it myself, I couldn't have made it any better.
You did. There's one that has no teeth and one that has some teeth.
Have we got any more blades?
I don't think so.
This might take a while.
Could be worse, you could be filing. Brought in the reinforcements.
That were it. So this is our brake adjuster, and obviously we've got to machine this now out to fit this into there. But that's our pivot point for the brake, so actual pivot point for the brake pedal. And between there and there, and there and there is a 6:1 ratio. So from that point to that point, from that point to the end is 6 times bigger to give us the correct leverage.
Because in order to have the master cylinders under my foot, right? The way obviously you usually do it is you have a pivot, you have your pedal, and you literally just push on the master cylinder. Like pivot at the bottom, master cylinder attaches there, you push it with your foot, and it compresses the master cylinder in. Now, by moving it under our feet, what we need to do is move the pivot up and then put the master cylinder underneath so that you push on the pedal that way and it pushes on the master cylinder that way, and then that way my feet can be on top of here.
So what I need to do now is put a 36mm hole in here. So now what I've got to do is make a faceplate for the lathe. And what I'm going to do is, what we've got here is a Honda CRV hub that came with the back suspension and surplus to requirements. So what I can now do, I can adapt this to bolt into the chuck, and then I can then bolt this onto the faceplate, and I can machine the 36mm diameter hole.
So Dad, what are you up to?
So, all right, so basically what I've done, we've took the Honda CRV hub, I've machined it down to basically make a first plate, and now we've centre drilled the hole that we need to bore. We need to bore it up to 30 mil, and we've clamped it in place. Now, as you can see, it's a bit dangerous. So I wouldn't suggest anybody with no experience try this.
So basically, we've done all of this just to drill a really precise hole.
Yeah. It's obviously clamped in place. It shouldn't go anywhere. It might both actually put in another clamp in there. I'm tempted to do that.
You also need to say that's going nowhere.
Yeah, well I will when I put another clamp on.
Right.
But you can see, it's on our teeny tiny lathe. I can't even slow the lathe down. It's just a single speed. I can't do anything about it.
And our lathe's a death trap anyway, so.
Yeah. So there we have it. I'm gonna put another clamp on, just to be safe.
When I was a kid, right, my dad used to tell me the story of when Wilf, your mentor, first taught you to use a lathe.
Yeah.
And the first thing that he said to you is, "This machine wants you dead."
Yeah.
And it's just waiting. Not today.
Not tomorrow. But one day it'll get you.
Right. And we have loads of friends of the family and stuff who've been massively hurt by lathes, and this is the most dangerous. I'm not going to say it's the most dangerous lathe in the world, because somebody in like Russia or India or somewhere will prove us wrong, but it's pretty up there. For how tiny it is, it's very murdery. Well,
in fact, the biggest lathe I've ever worked on was in a place called Platts Sackville, and they made cotton spinning machines. I was only in my early 20s, and there was a lathe there, and it had a seat. This is how big it is. It had a seat here on the tool post, and I could sit on the tool post. Right? And it could turn up to 20 feet diameter, and the bed was 32 feet long. It was huge. So yeah.
But in spite of it all, you love them. You love lathes, you love turning.
I love turning.
It's like your favourite thing.
Yeah. But still got all my hands and fingers.
Yeah. Well, mostly. We're both missing a few bits. Right. But none from lathes.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to make another clamp just to be on the safe side. Because I say I can't if I could slow it down, it'd make life a lot easier. But I can't. So I'm going to make another clamp, just another one for there.
And they are off. These clamping bits are offcuts from when we made this, our bench. which we've done on the channel. One of our first videos in the workshop was building the bench right after we bought the lathe and Mozzie. Because we bought the lathe and Mozzie on the same weekend.
Yeah.
That were a long weekend, that.
Yeah, with a 14-hour round trip to pick up the car. Well, what was the car?
Yeah, and 3 rusty boxes full of junk. And then we drove back, went to bed, got up, and then went and got that. And it was in the back of Beyond, in a blacksmith's workshop. Lovely chap.
Oh, yeah. And luckily I had a digger.
Yeah.
A little tiny digger. And we managed to, because obviously you can't pick this up.
In fact, that digger was the only thing more dangerous than this lathe. It was like Mad Max's mini digger. And it were held together by hopes and dreams. But he was a Saab enthusiast, so you know he were trustworthy.
So we've also used countersunk screws, because it's very easy to, if you've got a screw stuck out here attached to hit the chuck, the screws on the tool holder, or your fingers or anything, you know. It's dangerous, but let's not make it too dangerous. And what I'm going to do later is, because this is slightly wider, I'm going to put 2 circlip grooves either side in there.
A circlip like this. That clip there.
And that will retain this part in there. It's a super tight fit as it is. You can see it's a push fit. But I'm going to, just for extra security, I'm going to put 2 circlip grooves in either side, and that'll hold it in place.
The same way it retains this bearing. You've got a circle up on either side, look. There we go, a little tiny brake pedal facsimile.
So, we won't get confused, keep it simple. No faces into the car. To the point. That way you go in 10 mil, because 30 mil thick, so you go in 10 mil, and it leaves 20 mil.
Yep. So when you flipped it over and drilled it again, it'll leave 10 mil in the centre. Well, I don't like anything yet, but it will.
It is. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
And if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to click the like button. And if you're really enjoying it and you're new here, then don't forget to subscribe. Sorry. That would have been a perfect segue, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. We haven't dremeled out the other side yet, you know.
No.
There's so much finishing work to do with this. We've spent these videos, we try, and now we're weekly, we try and get our work done in 2 days if we can, because of how long it takes to actually turn it all into a video.
And we're fairly miserable.
That's not true. No, but the problem with that is it's quite a tight schedule, and if anything happens, it really throws a spanner in the works.
If anything just takes a little bit too long.
Or one of us gets a really bad ear infection, which I'm currently recovering from. Last week, I edited last week's video, like in bits, like full of an ear infection, and I'm loads better, but I'm a bit spaced out. And I'm really, really glad that this week it's like Dad's baby is this pedal box. You've been really, I've said it in previous videos, haven't I? You've been really, really looking forward to doing it. But it means that I'm not at my best at all by like a really long stretch. I'm like really wobbly. I'm a lot better than I was, but I'm not at my best. And it took us forever yesterday to make that tool.
Yeah, obviously to make the first plate, to saw this block in half by hand. So it ate up a day.
Yeah.
So we're trying to play catch up now.
And so we might have a 3-day, 2-day.
Yeah. So basically, what we've got now, we've roughed out right all the shapes. Obviously, we can really finish them off now. Once we've got rid of most of the metal, they're all the same depth. Obviously, they'll just need neatening up. And then all this will need to be cleaned and polished. And then obviously we've got to do the other side yet.
And it'll all be radiused, and so all the edges will all be rounded off and all be nice. There's a lot of finishing to do.
Yeah. And also now we've got a cut from here to here with a hacksaw.
Which will take an hour and a bit. And have we mentioned that it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the workshop? Someone said we should get air conditioning in last week's video, which...
Well, as well as a milling machine.
As well as a milling machine and a 3D printer and CAD software. But no, we hate air conditioning. Well, we once got a lung infection, both of us, from air conditioning, and it took us years to recover from, didn't it?
2 years to get over it.
It made a right mess of us. So we are like massive. I'll just be hot, thanks. So, slicey. Today is Dad's birthday, and Dad is coming here to work on the car on his birthday so we can get this pedal done. So what I want you all to do is I want you to go down there and I want you to click like, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe as a birthday present to Dad, right? Because obviously, the man's a legend.
And it's another scorching day. It's not even 9 o'clock yet.
No.
And it's all well into the 80s.
Yeah, so he's here on a hot day, on his birthday, to make a video for you. So make sure that you click subscribe and click like. And tell him happy birthday down in the comments for me, will you?
I feel actually quite lucky that I've been given a second opportunity in life. Because obviously when the kids were young...
I thought you were going to say you feel lucky because you get to work with me every day.
I kind of do. No, because when the kids were young, I never had a chance because I was at work. At one point in my life, I worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Nights. Crazy hours, and I did it for a long time. So I kind of missed out on the kids when they were little because I was so busy at work. But now, I'm actually 61 today, and I've got a second chance to build this car with Oliver. And I feel really, really happy about that. It's superb.
Oh! Yesterday we went out and bought some new hacksaw blades as well. So we've got hacksaw blades that actually cut stuff, which is nice.
Yay! I'm going to clean it all up now, and then we've got to put what we've done. These are 10mm deep. So I need to make these side 10mm deep. And then it leaves a 10mm spine that runs all the way through the middle. Yeah.
Yay. If you're wondering what this is, it's a surf form. It's if a file and a wood plane had a baby. And you use them normally for like squaring up door cases and stuff like that. But it's also really good on aluminium. Because it's got big teeth that don't fill up with the aluminium. But you can see it. It might seem a bit funny, us talking about the fact that a normal pedal box, underfoot pedal box, costs like £3 right?
Yep.
And us not saying that we don't want to fit a removable steering wheel box because they're like 350 quid. But you have to think that if you're building a car from scratch, the big stuff isn't what costs the money. It's all the little things that you don't think about. It's sandpaper, it's saw blades, it's tools for your lathe.
Cutting tools, yeah.
All these things add up massively, right? And if you spend money on one thing, you're gonna, so like, whatever you think it'll cost and however long you think it'll take, it's usually twice as long and twice as much money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And by making our own shifter, and making our own pedal box, we'll have saved in the region of over 5,000 euros, right? Which is like, what's that, like $6,000?
Yeah.
Right? And then, so if we can have...
and that's just on 2 components.
And that's just on 2 parts of a car, right? Because we got nothing for free with our car. We have to buy or make every single part. So if we manage to not have a steering wheel boss, that puts us close to like $7,000 saving over the entire car, right? And $7,000 is not a small amount of money. It's a car. It's it's a family holiday. Yeah. It's the difference in between.
It's throttle bodies and an ECU.
Yeah, it's the difference between being able to do a project and not being able to do a project at the end of the day. And
all this has cost us is time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? We are wealthy in skill, we are wealthy in that we have a beautiful place to work on our cars and stuff like that, but the reality is for all of us that the further you get your money to go, the more you can do with that money and the more ambitious you can be. And that's why stuff like this is so cool. Yeah, no, it's all right, I'm doing it. Blighter. You're having a break. It's your birthday, right? But the reality is, the further you get your money to go, the more you can do with it and the more car you can make. And then that way, your project car doesn't have to take 40 years to finish, you know? Because that's the reality. We all have, you know, we all have families, we all have bills to pay, we all have all these things to do. And so the more you can do with what you've got, rather than what you haven't got, the less excuses you have not to do it.
That's enough.
Yeah?
Enough there.
Yay!
Bloody hell.
What?
It's square.
Yeah? What do you mean? We're a bit shocked just because I were using the surfer one.
No, just
How very dare, sir. Well, it's not finished yet. There's quite a bit of finishing off to do, but I don't have the kit in order to finish it, and we're all out of time. In fact, it's your birthday, sir, and you deserve to sit in your garden and drink wine.
I do. That's it. That's a splendid idea.
So I'm holding it like it's an award. But this is our brake pedal. This is our first pedal, and all of our pedals will be different.
Yeah, because they all do different jobs. Obviously, you don't need a clutch pedal to be as strong as a brake pedal.
No, and we've got something rather cool for our accelerator pedal. So yeah, this will be a completely, well, no, the pedal we make next week will be a completely different pedal. But super happy with that, even though it's not quite finished. And obviously it needs a pad. I nearly called it a brake pad, but it's not a brake pad.
It's a foot pad.
It's a foot pad that goes on there. And yeah, love it. So thank you all for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.
Yeah, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, have you ever made a pedal box? Do you have a pedal box in your car? What's the best pedal box you've ever used in a factory car or otherwise? Let us know down in the comments below. And if you'd like to support us, then don't forget that we have a Patreon where you can unlock deleted scenes, extended scenes, spoilers for upcoming videos, and you can get your name in the credits if you wish. So yeah, check that out down in the description below. Thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.